Cool. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Nerdcast. My name's Beta.
My name's Jesse.
We introduced ourselves last podcast, so we're not going to do it again.
But we just did.
I meant introduce ourselves
I'm
on
kidding,
a personal
I'm kidding.
level. Yeah, so welcome to episode 2. A couple things happened. I think last week when we recorded this, I had already released a video. That was doing pretty cool. And then this week, before this podcast, I released a second video. I released the podcast, and I got my internet and everything fixed for all the live streams that we're going to do. Pretty cool. Pretty exciting stuff.
Yep. Just you guys wait.
Yeah. So, welcome back to episode 2. I don't know what we're going to talk about this week, but I figured I'd jump right in talking about, and I saved this all day. So this morning I made coffee, which is still in here, and I made Hot Pockets with coffee, and they're the pizza Hot Pockets.
I just kind of...
What?
I was going to say, I feel like that's a combo that doesn't go together, but... You're talking about the guy who drinks Monster for a living with cereal. I'm kidding. I actually don't drink with cereal.
So he does. And so we did... Or so I made that this morning. When I was making that, I also we had like leftover pizza in the fridge, and it made me think about this time. I was at my cousin's house, and he had just got his own apartment, and he was having like it was like a LAN party, but it wasn't big enough to have a LAN party, so it was really just like we're gonna play video games on his computer or his Xbox or whatever. And it's like a pretty small apartment, but it's like not at the same time. Like it has a living room, and the living room is attached to the kitchen, and it has a bedroom, and then like a second space for, like an office.
So there's like enough room to like for everyone to like navigate through and everything.
Yeah, there's
no one duct tape to a ceiling vent.
No. And so when I was there, I was still like I was pretty young. I was probably like 15 or so. And so I got there. I think he picked me up or someone dropped me off because I was at my aunt's house. But he lived pretty close to them. So I got there and they had already been hanging out. He had beers and stuff like that. I was probably like actually I think I remember. I think I drove myself there because I could drive myself. So I was 17.
Okay,
I took my dad's car to stay the night at his place, and so I got there, and he's like, oh, hey, like, welcome, and he showed me around. I might have been there once before, I don't remember, but it was probably before he actually, like, moved in.
Right.
And he was like, oh, like, when he invited me, he said, come over, we're just going to have, like, we're going to be drinking beers, having pizza and stuff like that, and playing games. So I was like, cool, that sounds like
I was going to say, that sounds like, the ideal plan to do now.
Yeah. So I got there, and, again, a few people were already there. I think everyone that was going to be there was, like, already there. And we sat down. As soon as I got there, he offered me beer, and I'm underage, so I was like, no, thank you. And he's like, okay.
I'm a law-abiding citizen.
I was really thinking about you because it's just him and I was staying the night and everything, but I was like, no, whatever. Like, I'm underage. I'm cool. I'll drink water. Whatever. He probably took us there.
Me in a nutshell.
And so he got beer, and the first thing I noticed was he had AK-47 bullet ice tray. So it looks like an AK-47 magazine, and inside are ice cubes.
That's where you got the idea from? Well,
that's
not
the
idea.
Time I saw
okay.
It. That's the first time I saw that. And he was putting them in the beer because the beer was like he didn't have enough room.
Like beer bottles?
Yeah, in beer bottles.
I can't like.
Ice in there.
I'm sorry, just like one sip and you're having a fucking bullet going straight down your throat.
Yeah, one in the bottle is probably true. But so he did that because the beer was like warm because they have enough room in the fridge, and they're probably drinking everything in the fridge, or they just bought it and just put it in the fridge.
Yeah.
And then cheese and beer don't go well together. But I thought that was funny, and he was like, "Look, they're perfect size for the bottle," and put them in, and so that's the first thing that was kind of weird. I was like, oh, okay, whatever. And so we're probably sitting there, we're probably just watching YouTube videos or like fucking whatever, just laughing and hanging around. And then he goes to like do pizza. And so obviously when someone says pizza, you think they're just going to order pizza.
Yeah.
So he had he had a frozen pizza.
Oh, okay.
And I think he had 2 frozen pizzas, actually.
At first, I thought you were talking about, like, he was going to make it handmade with ingredients and everything.
You thought that's
yeah, at first, because you're like, oh, you would order pizza, but, like...
When I invite you over for pizza, you're like, oh, he's probably going to hand make that pizza.
No, well, you said...
Oh, because it was strange, you mean?
No, you said because you think he would order it.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, so he had frozen pizza, and...
one hell of a LAN party.
He asked... it wasn't real LAN party. I don't know why I said that. No one else brought their rigs or anything like that. It was just, like, we were just hanging out, I guess, and watching movies and playing, like, 4-player, like, really old games. And... So he's like, oh, I'm going to make the pizzas. And he has an oven and everything in there, so it was, like, fun. So he like, heated up the oven and everything, and he asked if, like... if anyone wanted extra cheese on their pizza. And so I like extra cheese, so I was like, yeah, I want that. So he took this already, like not great pizza, and he put American cheese on it.
Like the singles?
Yeah, like, it probably wasn't crab singles, but it was probably very close to crab singles. Like, well, it wasn't, like, real deli cheese. But,
man.
And he put it on the pizza, which is, like, already, like, inherently just looks gross. It's like crab singles on a like an already gross pizza. It's already not real mozzarella, and then he put fake cheese on it, which doesn't go well together. So I was like, whatever. And then I said I would eat that pizza, so when it was finished, I ate that pizza, and it was actually really good. But that's got to be, like, the broiest pizza ever,
the
right?
The broiest pizza?
It's a frozen, like, cheap frozen pizza with American cheese on it.
Yeah,
which is just like... But it tasted good. That was, like, the worst part about it. Was you
so
would think it would taste gross.
It didn't look the part,
like,
but it tasted the part.
It just doesn't make any sense. That's like if I said, like, oh, you want to melt some cheese on your cereal? Like, you'd be like, no. And then you try and you're like, holy shit, it's really good.
Yeah, but this is pizza we're talking about. It's already got grated cheese on it. Not grated.
Yeah, but it's like a gross kind of cheese. That's like if I said you want spoiled milk in your cereal. There's already milk in it, right?
Okay.
Why don't you get, like, cheese curds in it? It's like, there's already milk in it. What do you mean? That makes sense. There's already dairy in it. Why don't you add more dairy to your cereal? It didn't make sense. But yeah, that got me thinking about this. So he's the only person, my cousin's the only person where I went to LAN parties. Like, I went to a bunch of LAN parties just because of him. They were, like, either his LAN parties or they were his friends' LAN parties. And so, actually, the reason I even went to build a computer was, like, his... God, I don't know how old he was turning. But I was young. I was, like, 13 or, like, 12 or something like that. It was, like, the first time I ever met him, and he said... do you want to come up? Are you coming up for Thanksgiving or whatever? And so I was like, oh, yeah, like, I'll be here for Thanksgiving. And he said, cool. He said, because my birthday is actually, like, 2 days after Thanksgiving or something like that. Do you want to... stay, I'm having, like, a LAN party. And so I was a kid. I was like, I don't know what that is. He's like, oh, everyone just brings their thing or whatever. Like, we'll just be playing video games and, like, watching movies and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, cool. So I was like, okay, because, like, my cousin was just super nice. Like, he loved video games. He likes anime and movies, and, like, he's just, like, huge nerd. He's super
Sounds
smart.
Like a prize package.
He's, like, he's super smart, too. Like, he's, he can just get a grasp on everything as soon as he can, like, kind of dig his head around it. So I was like, oh yeah, cool, like, I'll go to that. So I went there, and all his friends are there. Again, like, I'm 12, and all his friends are 23, 24, 25. And so, you know, they're all hanging out there, have all their adult jokes or whatever. And, like, you know, you're a kid, so you get most things, you know, most words or anything. So, like, but, you know, they're still trying to, like, there's still things you don't understand. So he's like, oh, hey, we're going to play... we're trying to figure out how to get everyone set up, but do you want to play on the computer? And so I was like, oh, okay, like, yeah, cool, I'll play. And so he sat me down at his rig, and he had like 2 or 3 loaner rigs too that he had set up. So he was like, when it comes time to play, like, you'll have a computer too, if we can get it set up and figure out what game we're gonna play. And so I sat down. The first thing he had me play was Counter-Strike. And I'd never played Counter-Strike because I didn't have a computer that could run it. I didn't want to buy computer games. Right. All I put Xbox 360.
Right. No, yeah, that's kind of where I was when I started.
Yeah, and it was fun. You know, he told me, like, his friends are behind me, like, oh, you got the op, you got a no scope with the op, or I picked it up off the ground or something. And so I was like, no scope, and I was like, what's it? He's like, oh, it's just like, you no scope with the op. It's like the so I was like, oh, okay, it's kind of like when you say 360 in colors, like, you go 360 no scope. It's just like kind of that.
Right.
So I was like, oh, okay, like, whatever. So I tried it, and he's like, oh, shit, you almost hit that, whatever. So I was like, oh, like, you know, it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Then he had me play TF2, and that was a lot of fun. He showed me Portal the next day on there, and we were playing it on, like, he had this big-ass projector set up there, so we were playing Portal on that. And so I could get Portal on the Xbox, but I just never did. And so it just kind of made me
right. No, because I think at the time, the only way you could get it was through the orange box, right?
Yeah, if you bought the orange box, you got... Oh, no, Portal I think might have been...
I think that was in the orange box.
Right, so it did come in the orange box.
Oh, it did? It was a standalone?
But you could purchase, you could purchase Portal.
Okay.
But you couldn't purchase Team Fortress 2, you couldn't purchase Half-Life.
Right.
And all that came in the orange box. But I'm pretty sure Portal was separate, because I do remember seeing people playing Portal on my friends list. Like, when you looked at it,
no, because actually, now you mention it, the storefront on the Xbox 360 had it as a standalone and used to have like all the beta images that weren't the final product of the game. So you'd see like the reticles different. And the colors.
I think at the time Portal came out, you couldn't buy full games on the 360.
No.
You could only buy arcade games.
Yeah.
I'm actually trying to remember. There was I remember the first game you could buy that was a full game. It was probably Fable. It was probably Fable 1 was like the first game that you could, because they had Fable 2 or Fable 3 coming out and everything like that. And so they made Fable 1 available for digital download, because it was like a small enough game. It was only like 6 gigs or 5 gigs or something like that. So it could fit on pretty much anybody's hard drive that had a regular 360 or Elite.
Because I think the standard Xbox came with like 30 gigs.
The original Xbox came with a 20 gig hard drive.
20.
Then the standard became 60. But previously the Elites came with these. I think it was either 60 gigs or 80 gigs.
Okay.
And then the Elites started coming with 120 gigs, and the standard was 60. You could buy those hard drives separately, though. Inherently, that was always pretty cool to me, that it was actually just part of the console until I realized that it came off.
Right.
And I never realized it came off until I had, because my parents are divorced, so I would take... I had 2 Xboxes. I had one here that we all used, and then for Christmas one year, because I didn't ever want to go to my mom's house because there was no Xbox there.
Right.
So they got me like a used arcade.
Right. I was gonna say, because like
realistically,
the best alternative in that case would to have since the Xbox is transferable like that.
Yeah. So
you could have an arcade version, which is drastically cheaper.
Right, because it was just meant to put your disc in, and that was it. And it came with like a 20 or 100 meg memory card.
Right.
So because I think the highest the memory cards came was half a gig.
Which it's funny because you look at those and
the sizes of those things are really.
I just feel like they really weren't that necessary. Were they backwards compatible with
memory cards?
Yeah, with the regular
the memory
Xbox?
Cards were super. I don't want to say necessary, but they were super. They were meant for you to take to your friends' houses to carry your profile and your.
It's funny because
which I did all the time.
Years down the line, they just implemented the USB.
Well, yeah, and then they just implemented you can log in using the cloud.
Right.
Your profile.
The cloud.
Because you weren't allowed to do that. If you logged in on another console, you weren't allowed to re-log in to another one for a certain amount of time, because it was a DRM thing.
Okay.
They didn't want you loading because there was no you didn't have your primary console, so your information, everything was saved on.
I think I started. Well, I kind of started towards the end of 2008, so I probably missed all that.
In 2000.
But then again, I never really
So you can only actually log into. So in that case, they implemented that you could log into another console, and then you could do it again. But then you would at some point get blocked for logging into too many consoles, because you weren't able to do that. But then once they started to have arcade games that were multiplayer and they started to have games that you could download and stuff like that, they implemented that DRM system, but it wasn't one that you could change. It was like a really crappy DRM system, and it was where you always had to be online unless it was your primary console.
Right.
But you couldn't change your primary console. You had to call them to switch it. It was like, this Xbox broke and I bought a new one, or I got rid of this Xbox and I got a new one, and they would have to make that hardware your primary.
Right.
Otherwise, you'd have to always be online, which is why if you got kicked off of the internet, it would say you have 10 minutes to reconnect to Xbox Live.
No, that's...
You have 9 and
wow.
Until it would go back. So it was... it wasn't the best.
Yeah.
I like this new system way better that the new consoles do.
I want to say I can't really pinpoint a year. Like I said, I started pretty late, so around that time it was all you had to do was verify your email address and password, and you were good to go.
You did, but you probably never ran into the problem where it wouldn't tell you can only do this one time. It just locked your account.
Oh.
So it probably was implemented when you were there, but you wouldn't know because you weren't logging into 7 Xboxes per day.
Right. Well, that's the thing is I barely...
it was like a 24 or 48-hour period. So you probably would have went to your friend's house and stay there, and then you would get it on your Xbox. That was probably a time when you could do it twice.
Yeah.
And then that was it. But yeah, people would still carry their profile on their memory stick, because in order to get your your saves and stuff like that were saved in there, including multiplayer data. So you could have, I think, like Call of Duty up until like Modern Warfare 3 was stored locally. Same with like Halo and everything. So you could go to another Xbox, you could log into there, but none of your multiplayer information would be there.
I know it was possible with a lot of games. A lot of games that did store the files locally. Now, I don't know if you were able to use like a hard drive transfer cable and edit like a lot of the the input data.
That's how you would change your gamer tag and stuff like that. So you could use the hard drive transfer cable, and then at one point your USB cable or USB stick.
So I used to have multiple hard drive transfer cables. This is actually how I got free content.
Yeah.
Long story short, it wasn't good for me in the end.
Well, yeah, your console probably got like hard locked.
No, my console was fine. It was my profile that got banned.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, I would do crazy things with it. You know, like I think it was like editing the config files in like Left 4 Dead 2, so I could spawn in like all these weapons, props,
so basically
items.
that stuff lets you do like console commands, like you can on PC. So like on like Fallout, for instance, people did this all the time on Fallout, but the worst part about it was it made your load times take forever.
Oh, really?
So it was loading and all this extra stuff.
I think I did it once with Fallout New Vegas, where I gave myself the debug pistol.
Yeah, so you could spawn yourself into the debug room, which had like 1,000 of everything. So you could go in, it had like 50,000 ammo of everything, and it had the alien pistol, but then it had the debug pistol. Right. You know, it had all that stuff in there. And then it also had doors to every location in there. So you could just open a door and it would take you to like Megaton or like the Citadel or whatever. But again, it made your load times like forever. So I remember doing that, and I was really excited that you could just edit those files and everything. So I think all I did was I gave myself like a bunch of caps.
Oh.
It took like 10 minutes to load into the game.
No way, really?
Yeah. And then going through a door after you would load in.
Wasn't that a problem? I don't know. I would say like later in time. Maybe I like messed with the file size or something. I don't know.
Have you ever watched a speed run of Skyrim or Fallout? I probably have sent them
Fallout
to you
3. I have
sometime.
Skyrim.
Like
not so much.
Like the speed runs that take 10 minutes. Like the ones that are like 10, 15, where they're just full of glitches.
Yeah.
One of the biggest glitches amongst almost every game in the creation engine is, I think it's called like a load warp, and it's basically you can be at like, so here's like the beginning of the game, and you make a save like right towards the beginning.
Right.
And then you go through the game and whatever, and here's your end game. You could take your character and your progression from here, and you can warp your character to the save here, but still keep your progression and level and everything like that. So, the problem with that, though, is that means all of your saves are connected every time you go somewhere. Because that means if it can take all that information from there and put it into that save,
right,
all the information is just compounded on top of each other, and it's just taking your character, remembering the stats back then, and then placing your character back there. Which is also why you can be falling, make a save, and then just reload that save, and your character just falls.
Oh.
Because it's not taking your actual data of it falling and everything, because it's not making a save state, it's just saving your character's information.
Right.
And then popping you back in.
Right.
So if you're 2 feet above the ground, it just makes you fall 2 feet. Which I think is why I don't think you can save while you're in
midair anymore.
Yeah,
they kind of like blocked that in a lot of the. I think it was after New Vegas, actually.
You can usually do it in the first part of it. I think you can actually still quick save and quick load in that time while you're falling.
Yeah.
But that's why. So that's why they say try and keep your saves less. I think the game lets you save 1,000 saves.
New Vegas implemented the 100 limit?
I think they went down to 100 from it. Or it was 100 per character or something like that.
Per character?
Because it was, in Fallout 3, you didn't have character saves. You just had saves.
Okay.
So if you like scroll down your list, you would have some saves from different characters. I think New Vegas had 100 per character or something like that. And you could probably only have a certain amount of characters I've had to guess. But I'm pretty sure that's the game where you could like hit Y and it'll let you choose a character.
Okay.
And then you could choose from your saves from that specific character. Yeah, so that's why it took so long to go through things. So if you had like 100 saves, it was 100 saves of data loading every time you go to load into a new door. Or
so wasn't it like also
forever?
I think it was like also each time you progress through the game even further, the file size would get like drastically larger as well.
Yeah, because it's never dumping any data off. It's just stacking,
Right.
and that's it. So if you don't get rid of old saves and stuff like that, then you're kind of messing yourself up. So what I would do is you keep 3 saves, and as you go along, you make save and save slot 1. Then you go further along, make save and save slot 2, further along in 3, and then when you go to make the 4th save, you do that in save slot 1.
Okay.
And just go so on and so forth, because it's overwriting that spot, and you're still only keeping 3 saves, but at least it's getting rid of the older information there.
Okay.
And 3 saves is more than enough. And
right, no, it is.
Skyrim and Fallout and everything, they give you 2 autosaves.
Yeah, I was going to 2 or 3 autosaves.
And then the next autosave is another autosave. So now you have 5 saves in total.
Even though that's the case, I'm bad when it comes to that. I'll still let my save stacks, yeah.
Oh, I don't care. I realize that I never go back that far to do it.
Right.
The only save I think I keep in all the games, as far as Bethesda games, is the save right before you leave your tutorial area, because you can edit your
character and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. So New Vegas is the only one I didn't do that in because it's so fast, and I usually always pass it when I'm not thinking about it.
Right.
Because you're just leaving Good Springs or whatever.
Right.
It's okay, you're going too far.
Yeah, the whole thing takes.
It's like a whole tutorial area, which was cool. I was talking about LAN parties.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
Anyway.
I forget what.
So we started off with I don't know. We went back to. Let's backtrack here a bit. We were talking about the memory cards on the consoles.
We were.
But before that,
so I was talking about I played Team Fortress and Portal. Oh, we were just talking about Portal. Okay. So anyway, I played Portal, and then after that I was like, I want to play computer games. And he also showed me this game called Alien Storm, which is free. So he was like, you can go home and play this game. But I was like, okay, but I want to build a computer. I want to play computer games, stuff like that. And he was like, oh, awesome. He's like, okay, well, how about you come down on a weekend, or we probably did it that weekend, where he's like, we'll build a part list. We'll try and find the prices. Do you have a budget and everything? And so I was like, oh, I don't know. And so I'm a kid. I'm 12.
Right. So
I call my dad. And since it's Thanksgiving, Christmas is a month away.
Right.
So I was like, hey, I want to build a computer for Christmas. And he was like, oh, okay, well, how much? 200, 300. And
you're like,
and so my cousin was just like,
600.
you could build well, at the time it was way more. If you wanted a decent gaming computer, he was like, you're starting from scratch. If you don't want to pirate Windows, you have to buy Windows and everything. So he was like, a decent computer, you're going to spend $700, $800.
Yeah.
So he's like, let's say $750.
I still think that applies now, that price, give or take.
Yeah, pretty much. You can get a lot of cheap components now, and it's a lot easier to get Windows keys from your computer that you might already have or be getting rid of or whatever.
Right.
We didn't have I had to do that because we weren't getting rid of any computer, so it was just kind of I just need a new license. And so my dad said, oh, I don't know, Andrew, this would be from everybody. So it was it's gonna be from your grandma and your aunts and your uncles and everybody, your grandma, me, mom, everybody. So so I said, okay, well, we'll figure it out, but he said, fine, yeah, we'll think about it, whatever. So I was so excited. So we sat down, we went to Newegg and picked out pretty much all the parts from Newegg.
It's funny because I was going to ask you what your primary method of
it was Newegg.
building a computer back then.
I don't think was a thing.
No,
I
don't believe it was.
Yeah, so we also had to check compatibility of everything. So obviously, budget computer was going to be an AMD chip. So we picked one that was pretty cheap. And he said a motherboard. He's like, you don't want to skimp out on a motherboard because if that dies, you could kill all your other components. So we did a semi decent one. He's like, you don't have to get a super expensive one, but he's like, you want to spend a pretty good chunk on. And he's teaching me about picking computer parts this entire process. So
right.
Literally almost all of my knowledge is either directly from him or based around him telling me to look things up specifically, for them. So he we went through there. He said power supply. I think the case we were looking at was a cool little, looked like a microwave almost, a little box with a handle on it. It was a micro tower. It came with a power supply, but he was like, don't ever use those power supplies. They're always really terrible. He's like, power supply is another thing that could kill all your components. So he's like, you want to get one that's pretty good. So he's like, you want to look for 80 plus, gold.
Right.
So, and he's like, always read the reviews of things. So we looked and we found one that was pretty inexpensive. It was probably on sale. And he said also, some of this stuff will be on sale later too. So he's like, don't worry about specifically, doing everything. So, we were looking at all that. We looked at a hard drive. Yeah, and we just finally found everything. 4 gigs of RAM back then was like more than enough to play games on. It was
Right.
like, what a good time to live. So I got a 4 gig stick, a DDR4. What else? Had to get a CD drive because Windows came with CD. Like, you know, no one installed Windows with a USB stick at the time. It was really hard to do, so no one really did it. So it was either eSATA or CD drive. Plus, software and games and stuff still came on it. Like in that drawer back there, I still have. I have Dragon Age, I have StarCraft in there, Borderlands is in there. Even the first 2 games I bought personally that like weren't like gifts from somebody or something like that was Black Ops 1 and New Vegas. And I went into Best Buy and I bought those with like Christmas money or whatever. And I put the disc in it, and they were like, "Great!" And it just installed Steam and downloaded it through Steam.
So that's what happened with me with when I first purchased Left 4 Dead. This is, I think, my official first gaming computer. And
well, that's Valve, so Valve definitely was
right.
doing that back then.
So I think it was like around 2009, just the year after the game came out, right before Left 4 Dead 2 was announced, by the way. So I ended up paying full price retail, $60 for the DVD. And I was like, you know, it was like it starts installing Steam, and I'm like, what do I even need this CD for?
Right. Why did you... Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, New Vegas didn't even have a product key on it. Oh, no. You put the disc in, it would download Steam, and then it would tell you to put the product key in. And you put the product key in, it was like, great. And it would just download it. I was like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Like, you know, so... So we put all the things in a cart. He emailed me the list. I emailed it to my dad, and he was still like really on the fence about it because he was like, "It's expensive." But I was like, "I'm gonna learn how to build like a computer. Like, I just want to play games. I didn't really."
Right.
But I was like, "This is good for me. Like, you know, I get to learn all this stuff. Like, you know." So he was like, "Oh, okay." So we finally like asked everybody what they would give and everything. And my dad said, "We'll see how much money we get from what everyone else says they'll give for it, and then we'll order the parts and everything." So he's like, "But it have to be like after Christmas." I was like, "I don't want to like no." He's like, "It's a Christmas gift. I have it by
now.
Christmas." So that's what we did. We asked everybody, and they all said they would give money right then. I think I also made a big deal about like the parts. It was like it's on sale because Black Friday just happened, and like all this stuff. So you know, and I'm 12, so my boy, I'm like, "Oh my god, like please, like oh yeah." So so we finally get all the parts. They come in the mail. We put them all in my dad's car. We drive up to my cousin's house, or my aunt's house because he lived there at the time. And he was like, "All right, let's do this." He was like, "I'm going to teach you how to build a computer." And I was like so excited. I was like, "Oh my god, like yes, like I'm so excited." So we get the case, and the case is inherently like really hard to do for like a first time because micro towers are like.
I can't imagine there's much room to work with. Yeah.
Right. You don't have room. Like in the computer we just built here with the huge case, it doesn't matter. Like there's so much room in it. So
that's your opinion.
What?
That's just cable management. That's your opinion.
No, I'm not talking about the cable management. I'm just talking about the case itself.
Okay.
It's really easy to build.
Oh yeah,
case.
of course.
It doesn't matter. The smaller case is really hard because even getting the screws for the motherboard screwed in is because the power supply where it sits, your hand doesn't fit underneath to even screw that in. Like you can't do stuff like that. There's no room for it. So, but the cool thing about these cases was the plate at the bottom actually came out of it because the case had it was almost like an arch. It came off the computer, and so the entire top would be exposed. Because again, it was like a little square.
Right.
Yeah, well, I guess a long square. And honestly, I think they were actually meant to stack on each other if you have multiple computers, but that's my opinion. So it would come off, so you take like this little archway off, and you can actually slide out the plate where the motherboard would go on most of these cases. I think mine didn't do that because we're dumb, but we also run a budget, so.
Right.
But you know, since that came off, it gave you a little extra room to work with and everything. So you basically just had like the back and the front, and that's it. So you had all the room on top and the sides and everything to work with. So we started building it. I think the only thing I didn't do was put the processor on the in the socket because transistors are like super fragile.
Okay.
And you could place it on the wrong way
and
then pop it back out because you think it's secure and break 10 transistors and
no,
your processor's not going to work and you wouldn't know.
It's funny because when I had purchased my i7 5820K at the time, I don't know why I thought it'd be fun to take it out the box and just kind of like line it up onto an empty case, no motherboard, and I dropped it like, you know, all the pins on the bottom. It's like made a loud thud. Yeah, that's
you wouldn't
that's
know a
probably what it
processor could. So that was the thing too. Is a processor could still work if a lot of those like pins break,
Right.
and it just would not work properly. It would just be slow and certain errors and stuff like that. So maybe you broke it. Good
Maybe.
job.
I don't know. I mean, it's been
that's
doing me
why
pretty good.
he did that, because I was 12 years old, and it's literally the most expensive thing out of everything that
Right.
you buy. So it was not. So he just showed me the little pin lined up like his AMD motherboard.
Wouldn't they have an arrow at the corners of them? Normally, I don't know if they did back then.
The processor has the gold corner.
Right.
It has like the little gold corner.
Yeah.
However, your motherboard socket a lot of times doesn't. It
Oh.
just has like a little indent, like a little
Right.
symbol.
Sometimes you just gotta look for the shape and.
Right. AMD processors are pretty much just square.
Okay.
So you could put it in any way and it would look pretty much similar.
Okay.
And on this particular motherboard, because it's cheap, again, super expensive motherboards have all those extra
Right.
features where it's like a literal arrow that says, put it this way! Like, it's just like, like on the motherboard that I just got, I think it was $200 or something like that, it literally tells you on the motherboard where the switches go. I never had a motherboard that did that, because all the motherboards that I had, like the little pins for the
pins,
reset
yeah, the
switch and
power,
everything.
yeah.
Yeah. I never had a motherboard that did that because it was $100 or
Right.
less,
No, but
and that was it.
You would think, like, I paid, I think, $380 for mine. Mine didn't tell me. I still had to refer back to the guidebook.
Yeah, but you have a lot of extra stuff on yours. Again, yours is a server motherboard. You have a lot of extra like stuff on there. You have extra heat sinks put on there, and extra, there's like extra transistor and extra, there's a lot of extra fluff there. Mine's, doesn't have that stuff. Nice and bare bones.
Nice and bare bones.
So it says that it even labels the other PCI like plugins for like your USB and USB 3.0, 2.0, another 2.0. Even all like the optional fan slots are labeled if it's a CPU fan or another kind of fan. So didn't have with the old one. So he did, because all it was a square, and
Right.
he even had to like look and double look and just be like that. Okay, and he did it. I closed it though. He told me how to close it to apply pressure and put that there. I think we didn't get a special cooler because I didn't have any. We didn't have any extra money.
Right,
for that,
so you just use a standard heatsink.
And that came with thermal paste already, so he didn't get to show me how to apply it. But he said when you do apply it, do we apply it? I can't remember. If we did apply it, he said just like a little dot.
Right.
That's it.
A little goes a long way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't say that because he's not old.
Oh, okay.
So we finished that, and then he told me how to put the, we hooked up power supply. Told me what went where, what the 20 pin power did, or maybe that one was a 16. Then he showed me like CPU power, and he showed me the 12-volt rails. Showed me how to hook up the hard drive and everything. I probably got, because there were no SSDs back then. Like, SSDs were like not really a thing.
Yeah.
They were super, super rare to even have one that would fit in a computer. They were probably honestly just used for, I don't know, usually didn't find them because at the time it was just flash memory.
Right.
Like, that was the thing, is flash memory was like the most expensive like thing, and even that was not great. It wasn't like wasn't as secure, and it just wasn't as long lasting. So hard drives were a thing. So we made sure to get a 7200 RPM hard drive, because at the time that was like the standard. If you're going to play games and stuff like that, you had to have 7200. So we hooked up that. It was probably a 500 gig. It probably was not a very big hard drive at all. So 500 gig.
I mean, back then, though, that was like
Back
still more than
then-
sufficient.
Yeah. I mean, for the most part. So to put in perspective, though, my cousin had a server at the time that had 4 terabytes in it, because he was starting movies and stuff like that, and that's
Okay.
what I was going to do. I wanted to do pretty much what he did. So I want to play games on it and then do that. But a game at the time was 10, 15 gigs. So it wasn't that big. It was like, pretty much around there. But you figure by the time you get like 10, 15 of those, you have Windows on there, all your other programs and stuff like that.
Right.
Like, I still did video editing and stuff on the computer we had upstairs, so I was going to just transfer to doing that stuff on that, this new computer. So we put it all together. He showed me how to put the graphics card in, push down the little pin, put all the RAM in, blah, blah, blah. Hooked it all up, went to go turn on, didn't turn on. So I was like, oh my god! And again, I'm so excited. Like, turn this thing on. Like,
I think that's the moment right there. It's like, especially now, it's like,
yeah.
What did I do wrong?
I don't care now. I don't care though, because I'm expecting something's probably going to go wrong. I had no idea that was a thing. You're just like, when you get an Xbox and you go home and plug it in, you don't think it's not going to work.
Right.
You just do it. So it was just
I'd imagine in most cases, a lot of the new motherboards have the LED. I think before it's just postcodes and beeps, right?
Yeah, you plugged in the speaker. Most motherboards don't have LEDs still. That $200 motherboard does not
have
it
doesn't.
LED on it. No. A lot of cases would add that in there, and you would place it on one of those things. But even still, that case probably did have that, though, had a temperature gauge. Because he was like, nerding out about, like, you want your thermals. I was like, whatever. We probably got an extra fan. He probably, he had, like drawers and drawers of extra computer parts everywhere. So, like, he had all the screwdrivers and everything like that. He had, like, wire cutters and stuff, so he could, like, and like a solder, so he could, connect cable and stuff like that. So he had a lot of extra stuff. So he had, I lost my train of thought. What were we talking about? We were talking about what? Oh, so he had extra fans and stuff. That was it. He had extra fans and stuff like that. Because every time he got a new case, it would come with a bunch of fans. He would just buy, every time he saw fans on sale, he would just buy them and everything like that. So he had a bunch of different sizes. This only fit probably 40 millimeter or 80 millimeter fans, like 40 or 80. Probably honestly 40. He probably had one 80 millimeter fan, and then the rest were just 40 that could fit on there. But it could fit like 6 fans. This tiny ass case could fit like 6 fans. So obviously one fan was already there. It just came with the case. And honestly, we probably had 2. There's probably one in the front as well. But it was tiny, so might have just been one.
So now it kind of makes me wonder, because I've never built a micro build before. I'd imagine this generate a lot more heat being more compact, right?
No.
No?
No.
Oh.
Usually they're about the same. I mean, you don't really run, as long as you have an intake and an outtake, it's not sitting there. Bigger cases actually contain heat, a lot more heat. So if you have a larger case and it's not, you don't have fans picking up all the hot air as fast as it could. So if you have a whole bunch of fans in your big case, then you're a little bit better. But if you only have like 3 fans in there, it's not good. So if you have like a really big case and you have like 7, 8 fans, then like, yeah, you're gonna get just as good. But this tiny case, if you had 2 fans on it, one in, one out, it was like, you're good, because the heat just goes right. It doesn't sit there for too long. So thermals were good. I mean, it was fine. So it didn't work. We opened it up. Either like we put the power switch on the wrong way, or just the way the picture had it was like flipped compared to the picture that we were looking at or whatever.
Right.
So he taught me another trick, which was how to test the
voltage.
Oh. Yeah, no, just the
just receiving power.
So either you go into pins like pin 8 and pin 12 or something like that.
So do he jump the power?
No, you put a paper clip you take the 20 volt or the because he thought it could have been power supply. So you take the 20 pin connector and then pin 8 and like 12 or something like that. Don't look it up. Put a paper clip in there, one side in each thing, and you just connect it to the 2 pins out of the power switch.
Yep.
And it'll automatically send power right to the power switch. So if it's the motherboard, nothing will happen. But if you do that and the case turns on, then it's not the power supply. You can take that out. It's something else wrong with it. Or it might have just been like, could have been the case connector or anything. That's just a way to get the motherboard to hook up if you don't have a power switch on your motherboard, which some do. So we fixed that, so we did it, and so I was devastated, and then I was really happy because it worked. We installed Windows. Took 9.5 years to install Windows because it's from a CD.
Right.
Finally get it all set up. We start installing all the cool stuff. So we install like Ventrilo and Steam and everything like that. And we install Ada64 so we can get thermals and information and stuff like that. And then the first game I probably downloaded, he bought me TF2 and Counter-Strike Source, because at the time you had to buy Team Fortress 2, and
even then though, well, I was
TF2
gonna say
$40.
The games weren't cheap back then. Yeah,
it was $40 for a game that had been out for like 8 years already. It was just like it had been alright. It probably had actually been out for like 3 or 4 years, but literally, it was probably like 1.5 years or 2 years after he bought that for me. It became free.
It became free, yeah.
It was like a year and a half.
The same thing happened with Julian too.
It became free. Yeah, it was not great.
No, and I think the worst part about that is they didn't really do anything to reimburse the people. They gave them free cosmetic items, but
well, that's okay. I don't really.
I mean, I don't know.
That. I don't think I got that.
I guess you got your time's worth.
Purchase the game like within like 6 months of them doing that.
Right.
I had bought it like a year or two.
I mean, if you feel like you got your money's worth out of it, then
I did not, because I played it twice.
Oh, well, then that's kind of
that was it.
You didn't pay for it though. So
I didn't pay for it. My cousin paid for it, and then. Yeah, so it worked. So we even did at the time. Windows had a Windows like score index for your computer.
Yeah,
so
I remember that.
So that's how you graded how good your fucking computer was. So we went up, and I had a 4.9 or a 5.9 at the time. And actually, all of my components in there were a 7, but it grades you based on your lowest score.
Okay.
And the lowest score at the time, or may have had like a 6.9 or something like that, which is really, really good. Like any computer above like a 4 could play games, and you were fine. For most components, and you were a cool kid. But it was a 5.9 because of the hard drive. At the time, what was higher was a 10,000 RPM hard drive, or hard drives that were rated together.
Right.
Because you got a bigger cache, you got a faster, read and write times. Yeah, so I was so happy about that because he was like, "Oh, holy crap! Like that's actually pretty good for like $700." Like he's like, "That's not bad at all." So I was really excited. And then my other cousin was there as well, and he built computers too. And he was like, "Oh, for Christmas he had got a 10,000 RPM Raptor drive."
Mm-hmm.
It was like a 500 gig. Those things were like $1,000 at the time. It was crazy. And my cousin got it for him for Christmas. And he was like, "Oh, okay, well, that's going to replace my 750 gig hard drive. Do you want to buy my 750 gig hard drive?" So I used Christmas money I had, and I was like, "Yeah." So I bought it. So I immediately, right off the bat, I had 2 hard drives. I had a 500 gig that we bought, and then I had a 750 gig.
Do you still use those today, by the way?
I use the 500 gig hard drive still. That is still in my computer upstairs. It's really slow, and I'm pretty sure it's going to die soon. The 750 gig... I either sold to my friend to put in his computer, or I put it in one of the other computers I built that I gave to someone. It was one of those two things. But it was just like, I always had at least 3 hard drives on my computer. After that point, we bought, I'd say next year for Christmas, I got Seagate hybrid drives, which were like the thing at the time because SSDs were out, but they were ridiculously expensive, and people bought 60 gig ones just to boot off of, and that was it. And it was like, well, look how fast my computer can turn on, and it was slowly overtaking 10,000 RPM drives because those would die really fast. So I got those because they were SSD and 7200 RPM hard drives, and they were 2.5 inch though, so I didn't know that. Okay. So we got 2 of them because they were like $100, and I think they were 500 gig each. My dad was like, "Oh yeah, let's buy 2 of them." Like, sure, for Christmas, yeah, whatever, fine, here, take it. Or I might have bought one with my Christmas money, or whatever. And so I put one of those in my computer, and at the time I bought a laptop for $200, but it was like a $1,200 laptop that I bought for $200. It was a gaming laptop with a switchable graphics card, so I put one of them in there, and it made that thing so much better because it was a 5400 RPM drive before that.
Right.
So this was already way better. So
5400.
I always had 3 hard drives in my computer. So every time I'd get like a new hard drive to put in there, I would just give one hard drive to somebody else. So or sell it to somebody else, or whatever, put in another computer. Like, it was just like I didn't have a need for all the different hard drives, so I always didn't have them. But from then on, I took that rig back and forth every other weekend to my mom's house, and I would just sit on a couch, and I had a TV tray that I had my monitor and my mouse and keyboard on. So back and forth everywhere. So I started trying to buy 2 of every cable. So the only thing I'd have, because I'd bring my mouse and keyboard every time, I had a duffel bag that I'd put my mouse and keyboard in, and all that stuff. So we already had I think I had a TV there that I just used as a monitor, and then here I had one of those. So I TV that. So I'd have to raise my mouse and keyboard and my computer.
What'd you do for connectivity, or did you play offline at your mom's house?
So she had Wi-Fi there. So what I did is because I played down here because all the gaming stuff was down here.
Right.
And my dad didn't want a computer in my room, which I was like, whatever, I'm a kid, sure. So we had it down here. So we had a N600 plug-in USB Wi-Fi stick. Because at the time, that's what we did for the Xbox too. We had like a USB plug-in, the ones that attached to the back of the 360.
The one that was like $100.
So there were 2 of them at the time. We had the G1, and then we upgraded, and we got a free other one. We got the free black one that was N600 instead. because that was the fastest at the time. We just got an N600 router, so it like worked out really well. Yeah, so as we did, and then we realized that the internet sucked. It was really slow. Like my cousin, 1 year, probably like 2 years after I built his computer, he came over and he wanted to buy me a game for Christmas or something like that. So he sent me the gift on Steam. And I was like, holy crap, well, I'll install it now. You could teach me how to play or whatever like that. I don't remember what game it was. And I was downloading it, and I was downloading it at like 2 megabits a second because my mom's internet was like garbage. It was so terrible. And it was on Wi-Fi too, so it was like even worse. It was just like, I hated being there for downloading stuff. So I'd have to make sure I downloaded stuff here. Because we had, at that time, that's when we first upgraded to the 50, because that was the first time it was ever a thing, having 50 megabits down. So I hated going. So I had stuff downloaded. But it sucked because she also had moderate NAT and everything. Like, she was behind. So at some point when I was old enough, I want to say like 14, I started doing all the Wi-Fi and stuff like that. So I would take we got a new router here. So I took our old router and I asked if I could just bring it there. And then I set that one up and I made sure that the NAT was open, made sure all the ports were open and everything like that. And then I made sure I put that upstairs so I could wire my computer into it. So I had like a 10-foot Ethernet cable that I used. And then that's when we started doing Ethernet here and running all the cables to the ceiling.
Right.
So it was fun. But I'd take because he invited me to all other LAN parties. So he would have LAN parties at his friend's house that they would have for their birthdays and stuff. So he's like, I have extra monitors and stuff like that. Just bring your computer and we'll go there. And like that's when I really started to see like the first like actual like what LAN parties were.
Right.
So it was like so much fun. He would bring his server because it had all these games on it. So we would download we played Unreal Tournament. We played League of Legends at the time. You know, at the time everyone was split on what game to play though. So we just watched someone play like Sonic or like whatever. But it was definitely lots of fun. Like LAN parties were definitely like I always wanted to have them, but I didn't have enough friends that had computers. That's when I started convincing.
See, it's kind of those moments where I wish, like you said, you guys are split on games. Everyone loves Halo, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of the moment where, if it was on PC, but in most cases, people are still using Xbox 360s.
You're wrong though.
Why?
Because if I had all of the friends at the time that I had come over here and I said let's play Halo, I would not play Halo.
You wouldn't play
Halo? Because people liked Halo. No one loved Halo and would have wanted to play only Halo. So we like Halo, but not everybody likes Halo. There are a lot of console players at the time. Because I was just gonna do it with Xboxes. I was like, crap, I could just because he gave me this 100-port enterprise grade network switch because he just got it from work. They're just like, here, like we don't need this one anymore. They got gigabit ones, and that was 10 and 100, which for LAN is perfect. You don't need anything better than that. So I had that. We'd probably get rid of that because I was like, I'm never going to use this one. So I was like, we'll just have everyone bring their Xboxes over if they have that monitor. I had extra monitors and stuff here too, like just old monitors, and I had VGA to HDMI or VGA to composite or whatever. So people could plug in and they could bring their own monitor and Xbox or whatever, but I never got around to actually doing that. But they all supported LAN play, so I was just like, oh man, one day it'd be cool to do, but we never got a chance to. So it's kind of sad, but yeah.
I mean, Scott, you got to experience that kind of stuff. I on the other hand, that's still pretty cool. But like on the other hand, I've never had a chance to experience that back when I was growing up.
Yeah, we gotta have friends.
Yeah, that's the problem. Now you see where the problem is, right? And I think the closest thing I ever got to a LAN party was me sleeping over Leo's house. I brought my PC over there. We played TF2 like all night. So he had the big screen.
Done that. I did that even as recently as I had one of our friends, Caleb, sleep over. I want to say like 2 years ago, probably a year ago, and he brought his PlayStation over, and then I had mine, and we both bought Diablo and we just played Diablo for a while, and did that. So I mean, like it's doable and everything though, but almost all those games got rid of LAN play anyway,
right?
So even if you're gonna play, you're gonna all have to be hooked up to the internet,
right?
Which is just like not the best experience. And I know some games on PC still have it because you could do the server. You just use Hamachi. So in which case you could just use regular LAN when you're actually at someone's house. So I mean, it's definitely a thing that you can still do. But you just need a bunch of people to do it that are willing to. And no one ever wants to bring their computer over. No one wants to bring. They're like, I'm not gonna bring my. That was it. Like when I started inviting people.
Someone told me to bring my computer. I'd pack it up in a heartbeat. I'd be like,
yeah, but we're adults.
I'll be on my way.
So, like,
yeah.
I think now it's okay. People have their own cars and everything. Like people's parents would freak out if you're like, I'm gonna bring all this stuff over. They're like, no, you're not. You're gonna bring all that stuff.
Yeah, no. My mom was still like that up until recently, actually.
Yeah, I mean, like when you're a kid, you're not doing it. When you're an adult, it's like, oh, it's my computer. I paid for this stuff. Yeah, I'm just gonna bring it over. So like now, probably still could, but I still think there'd be people that won't do it. I think we still like they wouldn't do it. So I mean, I think that's why I prefer consoles over PC for the most part, just because
it's two plugs really.
Right, it's you bring your controller, your charger for your controller, your console, and your power cable, and an Ethernet cable if you need one,
and your video cable.
Well, that's it. Again, people have extra monitors and stuff like that when you go other places.
Yeah, but if we're talking about a console, a lot of people don't really.
Even for bring to vacation or go away for a week, say have like a house somewhere else, and you're like, oh, if it rains or something, you could have something to do or whatever. Like that kind of like a PC's so big and it's so fragile compared to like all that stuff. It's and I think now we're getting to the point where as far as like the game supply and everything, like quality's still really good on all that stuff.
Right.
I think that stupid like battle between everything is like I get Xbox and
the whole console wars.
Yeah, I get Xbox and PlayStation could be a thing because you always want that to be an argument, because if you don't have that being an argument, you get these companies that lose their competitive their competitive edge, because if there is one clear true winner for everything, you'll never that company will just be like, oh, we won,
no, so yeah, I get it. So it's kind of like what's a good example? I'm not gonna say the generic Xbox versus PlayStation. There's something else. Yeah. I
mean, it's iPhone versus Android.
Right.
Like, you have these arguments all over the place, but those arguments I think are what keep everyone like on their toes. And you're always gonna have people that blindly go for one, like switching from Xbox to a 360 to Xbox One. You had a lot of people that just bought Xbox Ones because they had 360s.
Right.
All their friends were just like, oh, let's just get the upgraded version
of
this. But then you have the people that said, I really liked PlayStation 3, even though I never had one. I liked what people said about them and everything like that, and so that's when you got people to switch over there. And then you had people on PlayStation that said, I really like the Xbox Live experience and all that stuff. Like, I think both of those companies now though are I think they're messing up on their own stuff. Like they took a big step backward with a lot of the usability and the UI and everything with both new consoles. And I think it's because they wanted to take such a far leap, because to the people using those things, it's you want to either bring over PlayStation people to Xbox, or you want to bring over Xbox people to PlayStation. But both those companies were thinking in terms of, we want to bring PC players over to this, or we want a product that matches up with those people, because they wanted to bring those people back, because that's inherently where most of their customers went, is from PlayStation to PC. PC in the last 5 years shot up as far as
definitely, and that's I kind of think that's pretty awesome.
But terrible, because they really messed up.
Yeah. I was gonna say, because you're talking about how the UI is and like the usability of it. I haven't owned a console since Xbox 360. I think I actually switched from console to PC, let's say like late 2011. So I really didn't own a console too long, and it's just like, I've been using the PC ever since, and going back and like seeing how the Xbox UI is, or I mean, I guess PlayStation's still more or less the same for me, because I had
No, they're all pretty bad.
Are they?
Yeah, they're both bad. I own a PlayStation. I think they have elements of the PlayStation 3 thing, but to me that was never complex enough. Like, it didn't show enough information. It was never great. It was too many menus, too many sliding things, and it's still too many menus and too many sliding things to get to what you want. Like, if you want to look at your downloads, you have to slide over to your notifications, slide down.
Yeah, see, I wouldn't know any of this.
But it's just like, that's way too much stuff. Like, on Xbox, it's apps, downloads.
Right.
And, like, that's it. And, it's getting there. They're both getting there. Xbox is still terrible as far as the UI is concerned too, because you can never find anything. and they're both slow and clunky. I'll say PlayStation's probably less slow and less clunky, but I think they lost a lot of that. It was new. I think that was it. Like online gaming was new to that platform. Before, if you wanted to sit on your couch and play games online, you had to drag your entire computer, set up your CRT monitor in front of you, and get some sort of thing. Like, you wouldn't play on your couch. It was impractical to do that. So,
which,
like, I think couch game...
If you think about it, you kind of have to admire the leap that Steambox tried to take.
Yeah, to try and get it there.
Yeah,
but it's still... The thing when I started to hear about that, I thought that would be pretty cool. Having a computer that would be a...
I said Steambox, I meant Steam Machine, by the way.
Yeah.
But okay. People still get the message, yeah.
Having a computer that would be a living room computer, and they created the big picture mode and everything for that experience and whatnot. But if it could be done, the console companies would have done that. Microsoft and PlayStation would have done that.
Right.
And it wasn't... I think they were greedy also. I think they were just greedy as far as like, oh, we want to drive them into Xbox Live and everything like that. But Steam wanted to drive you into Steam. Like, Steam wanted you to buy all your games on there and everything. And, they wanted you to buy. Now they have programs and software and stuff like that to buy in there. So it was a way for Steam to drive sales to them. But it was never going to be a full PC experience. It was going to be a Steam...
It was going to be like a...
console.
Right.
Just like, so I think the only way to do that is just to take a PC, hook it up to your TV, and either have cables run through the floor, or now you have actually pretty decent wireless mouse and keyboard, or to have just having a controller hooked up to your PC.
Well, then
to do that. But,
I mean, doesn't the Steam Link also transfer through?
But it's only Steam.
Only Steam.
Yeah, if you wanted to play Call of Duty Black Ops 4 right now, you couldn't do that.
You couldn't do it, yeah.
So I mean, that's the inherent problem. It's their
market
ecosystem.
Yeah.
It's their it's just like, and that's what every other console did. And so Xbox runs Windows 10. It runs Windows or Microsoft's version of Windows 10 specifically made for the Xbox, though. So it's really not Windows 10. It's like, I think when they say stuff like that, it's just inherently for the developers to think it's going to be easier to develop for, because I think that's what Microsoft's going for. I think Microsoft is really pushing that play anywhere aspect of it, which I think is really cool. I think the fact that I could play Gears of War 4 on my PC and then come down here and play it on my Xbox, and I have it for both of them, and I could do that. If I want to play co-op with you, I could just take it down here and play with two controllers, and then go back upstairs and do whatever I want on PC. I think we're taking a step in the right direction for that. So I think that's what's pretty cool. But to me, that's the best form of gaming, is just sitting on a couch playing. Like, I don't think I could play... I could do it. I lied. But I don't think it's as fun if I sit in my computer chair and play video games for a weekend because I have off or whatever.
No, you're absolutely right. And I still think, like, when it comes down to it, I will still much more rather enjoy, instead of being hunched over, on the mouse and keyboard, I would much rather be laid back with a controller in hand.
God, it's so much better.
So.
I wish... I don't know. I think my best console that would ever exist would be a PC with the graphics and having all the mods in it. That's why I like playing Fallout with all the mods, but playing with a controller.
Right.
Like, I do like playing Fallout with a controller because I get that same, like, I could just lean back and not have to sit so close and just kind of relax with my feet up and play Fallout and get lost in this experience, other than like being hunched over and like having to free my mouse cable from the thing, whatever, and like like shake my wrist from hurting.
Why, you're actually talking about all the problems I'm having now.
Like it's so I think it would definitely be like if multiplayer games on the console, they made some with controller in mind. Like, I think that'd be cool. But then I think that it wouldn't be a PC anymore. So I think it'd be cool if you did crossplay. If Call of Duty 4 supported crossplay across all the consoles, they all used the same servers, but the only way to play with like PlayStation people was to use a controller on PC.
Oh.
I'd love that.
Right.
That'd be way better for me, because I'd be playing with console players and I'd be in their own environment. The only difference that I would have is the game looks better for me.
Yeah.
And that's it, which I don't inherently think is like a a problem. If anything, it's just pushing more people to buy it on another platform.
Right.
To go do that. Like, it's not, there's no I don't think there's really any downside to that. I get it's hard to do. I don't think it's an easy thing to do, but it's definitely doable, as you see with Fortnite, to have cross-play.
That's the thing is, and that's actually really cool that we're finally moving into that. A lot of games are starting to support multi-platform, like the Switch, or from the Switch to the PC, or Switch to the Xbox or PC, that kind of stuff.
And I think Fortnite's cool and a cool unifying factor to that. So I think it'll go places, and I think it'll be cool. But until we actually get there, like, I think that was a big thing about putting console players with PC players.
Well, yeah. So in most cases, like, what was it? I think it was Fortnite that started, where if it had to be on the same console, kind of.
You could play,
or if a PC player joined or a console player joined a PC player's party, it's going to stick with PC players.
I think it would actually give you a mix.
Oh, it would.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think
I wasn't actually exactly sure how that worked.
Yeah, I think your baseline was, if you were on Xbox, you're going to be paired with just Xbox or I don't remember if PlayStation there. You're going to be paired with just console players.
Right.
If you had a PC person in your game, you're going to be paired with mixed people that are also playing Xbox and PC. And the baseline is going to be Xbox people, which inherently is unfair to Xbox people.
Yeah.
But it's, it happens. But they still let the Xbox controller people have their same level of aim assist.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's not like...
No, it's
not bad.
It still makes it for
Honestly, mouse and keyboard's great and everything, but I still think I like the feeling of aiming with an analog stick. Like, I think
it's weird because I can't go back to it.
I'm way better at it.
Maybe if it's like if it's a third person game,
I'm really good at it though.
It's weird. So. Third person games I'm okay. First person games I'm so bad with now. What was once muscle memory for me, I just can't regain it.
Well, you just stop doing it. Like you play really low sensitivity though.
I do.
on PC,
I think that's the problem.
So it should be easy to get used to on console.
But I think that's the problem though. Is also I'm kind of just more used to like the free form and like. Now, going back to a console, you have like your dead aim, your aim assist.
Yeah, most games don't have dead aim anymore.
Well,
yeah,
it's been a while.
It's been a long time. Yeah, wow, I forgot games even had that. Most mainstream games didn't have that though. Like Call of Duty and Halo didn't have dead aim because it didn't, inherently didn't make a lot of sense. It made sense if your controller was broken though. But I think more third-person games had like dead aim, because I'm trying to think of games in it, and I think Gears of War had dead aim, and like I think on PlayStation like Uncharted had it.
I believe Red Dead Redemption also had it as well.
Yeah, it was still right as third person.
But aside from that, nothing really comes to mind.
Yeah, I think most multiplayer, like most competitive multiplayer games, didn't have it just because of. I think it'd be unfair to. I think like I don't know. You couldn't have that unfair. It better everyone be on the same level of no dead aim than let people mess around with that.
Right.
Something Halo had that I thought was really messed up was you could have auto centering turned on, which was ridiculously overpowered. It was so crazy because it was just like my uncle turned me on to using that because he was probably watching videos or reading articles because my uncle he used to play. He only would play PC and he only played. I can't remember, like Descent, which was like you were in a ship flying around. It was like all these old Windows 95, Windows 98, like Windows 2000 games, like Diablo 1, Diablo 2, and stuff like that. He played all those just like action adventure like kind of games, and he only played PC games. So he played games all the time. Like he loved it. And the way he would play, like he would go and he would print, like for Diablo, he would print like 40 pages out of like Diablo. Whatever, like, oh, this is how you get to the secret cow level. Like, I think I remember sitting there looking through one of the books and it talked about the secret cow level. It was either a copy of, like, their official strategy guide or it was just from, like, a wiki back then. So, like, in 2000, my uncle's printing...
Cheat Planet?
No, I'm kidding. Have stuff about Diablo. I printed stuff from Cheat Planet for consoles because that's where you got all the actual cheat codes for GameCube and everything. So he would print out... So he was just, like, a super meticulous... gamer. Like he would do a lot of research before he'd go into actually like to look up for everything, and so he would print all that stuff out. He would go through, and what are you doing?
I'm just looking at the audio levels. It's weird when you talk. It's kind of keeping it at the same volume. Sorry. Anyway. See?
I just think you're crazy.
Okay. Anyway, sorry. I'm interrupting your train of thought. Anyway, the printout.
Yeah, so anyway, he would do a lot of research. Like, he would look up, like, if he was going to make a character in Diablo, he would look up what kind of character you want to be. He would look up the stats you're supposed to put on, and he'd have all this information all, like, printed out and everything. So we bought him Halo one year because we were like, oh, he likes PC games and everything. So my dad was like, oh, why don't we just buy him, like, this game? Like, we didn't know what it was either. I think, we had probably had it on Xbox, and my dad said, oh, that game was fun. Why don't we buy it for him or whatever? And there was actually online multiplayer because there was no online multiplayer on Xbox for that game. It was only split screen. Oh. So there's actual online, like, servers and everything for Halo. So we gave it to him, and he didn't really play multiplayer games online. He would only play single-player games, and that was it. That's why he had his printouts and everything. That's what he liked to do. So he played Halo. He played the campaign on every difficulty, and he did it in, like, a couple days. So he just decided to get onto multiplayer, because someone at work probably told him about, like, oh, you can play online and stuff like that. Like, why don't we play or whatever? So he started playing online all the time. And he got super into, like, the actual online, like, multiplayer stuff. So when Halo 3 came out, he started to, or when we got the 360, we set it up down here. He lived here at the time, so he would come down here and he would play Halo 2, but he would just play campaign because he just wanted to get a controller because he didn't like the controller. He was like, oh, I hate controllers. So mouse and keyboard's way better. Blah 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 blah. And he started using the controller playing through campaign. Again, he beat Halo 2's campaign in couple days on Legendary. And then he switched over to multiplayer, and that's when we would start playing, like, split-screen multiplayer online all the time. And so he got his own Halo 3 Special Edition Xbox when Halo 3 came out for 360. Yeah. So we would have both. He would play upstairs in his room with his Xbox. Or I think actually he moved by the time Halo 3 came out. So he got his own Xbox, and when he moved out, we would play together all the time. So, he's probably the one in Halo 3 that told me about Auto Center, because he would look that stuff up all the time. He'd probably be like, how do you play Halo? Not like that, but he'd like look up like special tips for Halo and stuff like that. And probably said, oh, make sure you like toggle your crouch so that way you don't have to hold it down. You can still aim better when you're not toggling your crouch. And then make sure you put auto centering back on because it always centers again and that aims for everyone's head.
I don't remember that being an option.
Yeah, so if you were aimed at the ground, you started walking forward, your aim would just zip back up.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Or if you had, I think it was if you
had
stopped
stopped aiming. Did that apply to
recoil
as well? I mean, there really wasn't much recoil.
No, because it was time. It was like time based. So it was like 3 seconds. By the time if you were shooting, unless you took 3 seconds in between shots, but like it would just center your gun back to where it was. So if you were running and you were aiming at somebody, it wouldn't just like zip back down as you were doing. It was like after you stopped aiming, it would then recenter your gun, which is great because you could have been like you looked down at a gun and then you went to go center, but you might have been centered like on their chest or whatever. And in Halo, headshots were like really important to get like that first headshot, so it automatically would let you get that first headshot or pretty damn close. Like I think he started doing a lot better once he had that turned on. But he was always like he was never a high kill game player. He was always like he didn't die. It was like so if he played like TDM or Team Slayer. It was, I think, first to 50 in Halo, and he would get, like, 6 kills, but he'd get 1 death.
Oh,
and he was like, look at that, plus 5. They did KD by subtracting. So it was like your kills, or your deaths minus your kills, and that was your KD.
Right.
So your KD could, if you got 10 kills and 10 deaths, your KD was 0.
Right.
If you got 20 kills and 10 deaths, it's plus 10. Or if you got 20 deaths and 10 kills, it was minus 10. And that's how they did KD. I think your overall ratio was obviously done by like division.
Right.
But, so that's all he would do. So he would sneak around. He would always go for the invis, the active camo, and he would just like sit in the back and crouch. And that was it. I was like, and he'd sit with a shotgun like around a corner, and that was it. So he was always that player. But he got really good at doing that. So he probably runs around a little bit more now with the sword and stuff like that. He got more, but he wasn't used to playing. He couldn't aim faster than everybody else. So he did what he was good at, and that was sneaking around the map, crouching. So yeah, it was always fun to play with him. That's fun. We had another friend that was really good. It's Daniel's brother. He's really good at Halo. Like, he would drop, what was it? A Running Riot was 15 kills in a row, I think.
It's been so long.
Yeah, so it was Killing Spree and then Killing Frenzy and then Running Riot and then whatever 20 was. But he would get Running Riots like every game. He would get Perfection Medals whenever. And Perfection Medals were hard because you had to get 15 kills in a game and then never die.
Right.
And he got Perfection Medals like quite a bit. So he was really, really good. So my uncle liked playing with him. But he would also, he would get bored of just doing so well. So he would mess around. Like, he would try to only melee.
Right.
Or like he would blow up his teammates with a rocket launcher or whatever. So my uncle would get really mad at that. And like, well, I'm not playing with him anymore.
I used to have this one friend that... his brother, he was like unbelievably good at Halo. Like, he would make accounts and then sell them. And what was the max rank at the time? Like, there's a skill ranking.
General was 55.
No, like the skill ranking, it was like 50, right? Like skill-based matchmaking.
Yeah, it was general. It was 55.
It was 55.
Yeah, I think so.
I think 50.
It was 5-star general. 50 got you general, and then each level was another star.
Oh, okay. Well, he would go for 50, and he would sell the accounts. And people would buy them, believe it or not.
They would.
Yeah,
they just want the rank.
and if...
Because you could transfer your gamer tag at the
right,
time.
so... Wait, could you really?
Yeah.
Huh. The more you know. Yeah, so he would do that, and if the KD was bad, he'd stop the account, and he'd go make a new one.
Yeah, that costs money, though. I don't know why you would.
He used to use the free 30-day trials that came with it. And stupid me, I gave up one of my free 30-day trials when I really could have used it at the time.
You only got infinite amounts of those for like, I want to say like 2 months, and then
there's 3 of them.
Oh, so that was after. You did get unlimited amounts at a
Oh,
time.
you did? Yeah, see, I didn't know that. So for me, it was 3, and I gave up one of my 3.
Oh, for him to use.
Yeah.
So he did that 3 times then, is what you're telling me.
Whatever, however many consoles he's had, I don't know. But point is he used to make a good amount of money off of it.
3 times.
No, he had multiple consoles. But yeah, I mean, it's amazing that, like, I think climbing that skill gap there was always kind of tough. Or for me, at least. I'm like the average gamer, maybe just slightly above average. Or in most cases, it differs.
So it was General, which was level 50. But you got General...
Well, there was like
you got
XP... And then there was also like a skill level with it.
You got general, but you would max out, right? So you could get lieutenant, but in order to get above level 30, you had to...
You'd have both requirements,
yeah. So it was general, which was 50, and then 5-star general, which was getting 2,000 XP at that level.
Oh.
So.
Yeah, that dude really grinded it out.
Yeah, the fact that he would do that in a month seems actually pretty crazy. Because that's actually inherently really hard. Yeah, they actually made it harder later on.
Oh, really?
So I'm actually surprised he was able to do that many.
Yeah, it was one of those things I couldn't believe at first until I went over his house, and it's like you kind of have to witness it for yourself.
I just don't think that's
right.
not like a
it's not really too practical either.
Right? And like,
he was a teenager.
Yeah,
it was his brother. It was his brother, so he was probably like 16, 17.
Yeah, yeah. You don't have a job. I mean, I guess he could get a job.
Right.
But, like, it's not... Yeah, I don't think... I mean, like, yeah. I just, like, they have time, I guess, if he's just in school, doesn't have a job. But it's not a great plan for money. But if he's a teenager, it doesn't really matter. Any money is
something.
is money, right. Yeah. So this uncle also played... So this uncle pretty much just plays Diablo and Halo now. He doesn't play anything else. When Diablo 3 came out, it launched with a real money auction house. It was the first game that they did
real money auction
launch. You could sell items for real money that you found in the game. So he would just go, he would play Diablo for whatever, and he would sell gold.
I kind of wonder, like, how... If that was ever a case where people would do, like, third-party websites to try and make...
You did that for World of Warcraft. That's why they launched with the real money auction.
Right. So, it's a good way to combat that.
But they stopped because Blizzard started to not let you, like, do that. Then, so if that was suspicious activity, Blizzard banned you for that.
Oh.
Which is why in World of Warcraft you can now use gold to pay for your subscriptions. Like, your subscription.
Okay. That's kind of like what RuneScape does. But To an extent.
Like,
so they have these things. Oh my god, what's English? They have these things called gold bonds, which you use your in-game currency, and I think it gives you up to a week or 2 weeks.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's World of Warcraft lets you, right.
Right.
Yeah, you can use all the gold you earn in-game to do that. As I'm told, I don't play World of Warcraft, I'm just told that. But I believe it's true. I think I looked it up and it's true. What would happen with World of Warcraft was they would have people in like China and like Korea and other countries that play that game a lot, and they would just have farms of people going to rerun either like these same raids to get these items or to basically just like mine for like just gold. That was it. And then they would just sell the gold for there. So Diablo does not allow you to do that. You actually get banned if you transfer your account and stuff like that. Like they try and keep track of that stuff. So they launched with the Real Money Auction House to combat that. It was like, we'll take a percentage of what everyone sells. I think what was happening though was it was the market for that. It got diluted because so many people did it where they weren't really making any money from it, and it was just like costing players like time. It was costing money to stop it. There was probably another real reason why. I think it was getting blocked in countries because that was a feature, I think they decided to remove it altogether just because it broke laws in certain countries. Having an auction house like that, can't do it. But yeah, so he loved playing it because he would just play for like a week or whatever, like throughout the week, and at the end of the week he would sell all the gold that he had because he wouldn't use it for anything, and then he would make like $15 and that was it. Which is like, and he played for 2 hours when he got home from work, and that was it. So $15 just doing nothing but having fun in the game that you like playing, because that's what he would do anyway. He would just play through campaign, take all the gold, and then go sell it. So I mean, that was fun to him. So he always wanted him to bring it back. He was like, when are they going to bring it back? So he always liked that. He thinks about stuff in really weird ways like that. So like $15 every week for like the rest of my life is a bunch of extra money for something I like doing.
That's cool, but I could see like if they were to in this case, I think I remember Forza 3 would do it. You create like these decals and you could sell them using the in-game currency.
Yep.
So using to buy like the cars to unlock and whatnot.
Yep.
I think if they implemented something like that, that'd be cool. But for those people who, exactly. I was gonna say for those people who want the real cash, that's not the best option.
Because the company doesn't care. The company can just sell you those decals for money.
Right.
Like it's just like it wouldn't matter. And if other people could make that decal in the game, you could just make that decal yourself. In the game. So it's just like
if you actually want to go through that process,
Right. Which is where it's just like, so if you like that, why don't you like Bethesda's mod thing? Why don't you like the Creation Club?
Because I gotta pay real money.
No,
I'm not saying like.
But the money is. I see what you're saying, that it's all in-game money or whatever.
Yeah.
But every game lets you buy in-game money with real money now.
But how often do I do that?
I don't know.
Never.
Probably you don't. But I'm just saying, like, why would you like that? It's just like content that you can get other places that you get to buy with.
Right. And I get it. And I'm all in favor of mod creators earning their share. But it's just, I think, when it comes down to it, it's my preference on what I want to spend money on and what I should spend money on.
But you hate buying DLC, too.
Well, that's because I'm always broke.
Right.
That's my... so
I think in here, you can't... I don't think your value of something should come from if you have money for it. Right? Like, I can't afford a Ferrari, but I do think they're nice cars. Are they terrible value for their money? Sure, but they look really nice, and if I had enough money, I would buy that. I don't say that Ferraris are stupid and no one should ever have them. Like, that's not... Like, I can't afford one, and probably never will be able to afford one, but that doesn't mean they have no value. It still has inherent value, but it's like... You shouldn't judge, because also, like, we can't afford houses right now. That doesn't mean houses don't have any value to them. It's your value of something should come from if you had the money, would you buy it? Like, you buy an iPhone. It doesn't make any sense for you to buy an iPhone because they're the most expensive smartphone.
No, you're right.
You get a smartphone that can do all that, but you do that anyway. So obviously that has enough value to you where you want to get that over it. So that could also have enough value to you at some point. Yeah. So I just think like it makes I think it makes sense. I think at some point they'll refine it enough to where it makes a lot more sense. I think right now the mods cost too much for how little they add to the game, so I could critique it. But I like the system. I think it's a good way for people to... The system's
great. I just don't like that it kind of breaks the game every time they add new content into it.
Oh, I think that's... Yeah, but an update would do that anyway.
Right.
Any update would do it. Like, I don't think they've ever... All these small updates that they have specifically for the Creation Club, besides, I think, 2 mods, everything else is okay all the time. Most of the mods that I have, and again, I have like 150 mods installed, only 2 of them break because they're version-specific for some reason. Okay. And that's mod configuration menu for some reason, and extended dialogue interface, I think is version-specific. So, I mean, every time they update it, it's just like, but they would do that anyway.
Right.
Like, New Vegas updated, like, all the time for no reason. So, and it would break everything. So, I think that would still be there even if there wasn't mods, because they were still adding in DLC and stuff like that and whatnot. So, I mean, it's I think that's a small point. Because I think, honestly, they probably have only done... like 4 extra updates just for that content over 4 years that this game's been out now. So, or 3 years it's been out now. So I don't think it's a big deal.
Fair enough.
All right. Yeah. I'm going to call it there, I think.
All right.
All
right.
Thanks for watching episode 2 of the Nerdcast. We talked about a lot of stuff, mostly around video games and computers, which is cool. Pretty nerdy stuff. We'll be posting this on Sunday. Probably have another video come out in the middle of next week sometime. We'll be streaming D&D next Friday, and probably a few test streams in between. So follow us on Twitch and Facebook for videos, and YouTube for videos, where this is going to be also. You get the podcast on iTunes, and we also have an Instagram and Twitter, which we haven't posted on yet. So we'll get on that.
We will. I keep blinding myself looking at that.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm
I don't know.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching.
All right, thanks.
Until next time. Somebody.